pass things over to Sam.
Awesome. Thank you so much, James. Okay, so we'll get into it. And of course, if anyone trickles in afterwards, they can continue to hear the presentation from there. But once again, good afternoon and welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today's ROP information session. So today we are presenting on the ROP application of proposals and projects process on the ROP app. And my name is Samantha Forster. I'm an experiential learning officer here in the Office of the Vice Principal Academic and Dean in the Experiential Education Unit. And I'm joined today by my colleague, James Malinowski, who is a Community Engagement Officer in the same unit. And today we are supporting and presenting on this ROP application process. So we are the ROP personnel that will be your contact personnel for any ROP related matters. You'll see a name on the screen represented as well, Narinder Prasad. He is not here today because he's on vacation. We're very jealous, but we're hoping he's having a good time. And he'll be back next week, of course, to answer any questions alongside us as well. We are also joined today, as Rena introduced herself as well, by Rena, the Director of Experiential Education and Community Engagement. And please note, just as James noted as well, that the presentation portion of the information session will be recorded and made available for viewing on the ROP information session webpage. So if you have further questions or concerns past the presentation recording, please always feel free to contact our team at rop.utm@utoronto.ca. So I want to begin first with a land acknowledgement before beginning today's session. So we wish to acknowledge the land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and most recently, the Mississaugas of the Credit River. Today, this meeting place is still home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. To begin, I'd like to go over the session outline for today. So in today's session, we will be discussing several elements of the ROP project proposal submission process with you all. So we'll be beginning with the ROP overview, so things like benefits for faculty and students, as well as eligibility. Then we'll be moving through to the ROP app and the steps to complete a project and funding proposal in the ROP app. Finally, we'll be moving into course requirements, which largely involves completing a contract and how to do so, as well as submitting final grades for ROPs. We will also talk briefly about ethics and safety throughout these processes. So to begin, let's start with the ROP overview. So benefits for faculty and students. Of course, that's the main reason we will be doing an ROP, right? To benefit the students that you're working with and yourself in the research that you'll be conducting as faculty. So we're happy to say that both benefits for faculty and students are quite equal and quite plentiful. So faculty have the chance, first of all, to work one-on-one with undergraduate students. And what this does is it fosters a culture of inclusion, which really helps students in building connections and comfort while interacting with faculty. So this also really helps to gain further understanding of students' learning experiences throughout their time here at UTM, which can help further your research and connecting with students as well. Students benefit in many of the same ways. So they benefit by working closely with faculty and building relationships. And by participating in an ROP specifically, they gain practical experience and knowledge that can be applied towards future career and graduate studies. And throughout this whole process, students also earn academic credit, which is incredibly valuable for them. So faculty eligibility, who is eligible to participate? So certain faculty are eligible to participate in the ROP, and they are as follows. So this is full-time faculty, associate faculty, and faculty emeriti. So if you do belong to that group of faculty emeriti, please note that you would be eligible only if you've been actively involved in your respective departments within the last 2 to 3 years. And those who are ineligible to participate would include adjunct faculty, visiting faculty, postdoctoral fellows and/or research, graduate course instructors, librarians, and sessional lecturers 1, 2, and 3. Moving on to student eligibility. So all undergraduate U of T students are eligible to participate in the ROP if they are in a degree program across all divisions. Priority, of course, will be given to UTM students of that U of T group, and non-degree students are not eligible to participate in the ROP. However, visiting students and exchange students from partner institutions may be eligible to participate with approval from the Experiential Education Unit. So once again, we represent the Experiential Education Unit as ROP personnel. So reaching out to us for those type of questions would be your first point of contact. And then, of course, you can reach us through that ROP email as well, rop.utm@utoronto.ca. And it is important for students to be aware of the prerequisite and exclusion requirements identified by your department. So students are directed to review these requirements listed on our website. So that's the Experiential Education Unit website. You're also welcome to point interested students to the prerequisite and exclusions documents located on our Experiential Education website before applying to your project. So course offerings. Faculty can offer half or full credit ROP projects across the summer, fall, winter, and year-long terms. So these half credit and full credit course offerings do take place during all sessions that I mentioned. This is important to note. All summer half credit courses must take place over the entire summer term. So that would be from May to August. So it wouldn't be possible to do May and June and July and August. It needs to go from May to August, even if it is a half credit. So moving on to policies and guidelines, when students submit an ROP application, they are asked to read and agree on the terms of agreement and ROP rules prior to submitting their application. Due to the intensity of the ROP work, students are not allowed to enroll in more than one ROP project concurrently in a given term. Students can submit their applications once they agree to the ROP policies and guidelines as depicted here. So a reason that we show this slideshow, our system is set up appropriately in order to make sure that students are not allowed to get past this page without checking those boxes. However, there always could be system issues. So do notify us if you're hearing students that are able to get past this stage without checking those boxes, and we can rectify that issue as well. So moving on to Rosie. So this is a little bit of a description of how the Experiential Education Unit, specifically James and I and Narendra as well, are involved in uploading the ROPs into the Rosie system. So prior to the start of each term, ROP course titles for all approved ROP projects are entered by the EEU on Rosie. So a list of all ROP courses and their approved students is further sent by us to the Office of the Registrar to complete students' enrollment via Rosie or Acorn. ROP course registration is facilitated by the EEU. And should a student wish to withdraw from an ROP course, in that case, they must notify their instructor, so faculty, and us, the EEU, at our email, rop.utm@utoronto.ca to assist. This is so that both the instructor has the knowledge that the student has withdrawn, but that so our office can actually do the steps to facilitate the appropriate withdrawal that needs to happen from the Rosie side. Kindly do be advised that this procedure also has implications for ROP course funding in the event of a student withdrawal. With that information, I will pass on the next section of the presentation to my colleagues, James. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam. So next up, we'll go over a bit about the timeline. So here's the timeline for the 2026-27 ROP cycle. Notably, the application period for students opens on February 9th, 2026, and closes on March 2nd, 2026. This timeline is available on our website. Please note that these dates are subject to change. Now I will be taking you through the steps required to complete a project and funding proposal. Both project and funding proposals must be submitted via the ROP app during the submission window for faculty. This is January 12th to February 2nd, 2026, as seen on our timeline. In order to prepare for your ROP project proposal submission through the ROP app, you will require the following information. So there are different details that are required. You'll see here we're using a political science example. So this includes your contact information that is not pre-populated, whether there is a co-supervisor for the project. If yes, You will be asked to include the contact information for the co-supervisor in the field provided. This person must be a faculty member that meets the faculty eligibility requirements. If your project involves the support of someone other than an eligible faculty member, please include them in your project description as a secondary supervisor. This could be like a lab technician, a sessional lecturer, or a graduate student. Anything like that, they should be listed as a secondary supervisor in the description. So next is the course number. So select which of the approved departmental ROP course offerings you wish to create your project for. So example, is it a 299, a 399, a 499 course? Is it a half credit or a full credit course? Please ensure that the course that you would like to offer has been approved by your department to be offered in the 2026-27 calendar year and is available in the appropriate semester according to the UTM academic calendar. Next, you need to select the session. So select the session for which you wish to create this project, i.e. summer, fall, winter, or year long. When selecting the session, you need to ensure that the course has been approved by the department and is available in the UTM academic calendar. Next up is the title of the research project. So indicate the title of this particular ROP offering. Note this title will appear on the student transcript, as mentioned by Sam earlier when talking about the Rosie course titles. Next up is objectives and methodology. So you will be asked to indicate the objectives for your RP course offering and the methodology that will be used. Next is description of student participation. So indicate how the successful student or students will be participating in your ROP course offering and what will be expected of them. Referring to this example, if you are creating a single RP course for multiple year levels, so ABC 299Y and ABC 399Y, you will need to amend the description of student participation to match the level and experience of the candidates for that particular year level. In the case of this example, though, that we're going with, so the students will be participating in data collection and data analysis, and they require list of skills that are required include completion of a research methods course, interest in Canadian electoral politics, strong communication skills, and strong time management skills. Then we also have the list of skills required, as I already went through the example for the course example that we have here. List any skills or experience you would like to see in your student candidate, as well as those desired skills you prefer to see in a candidate. Please note, GPA is not a requirement for participation in the ROP. Those students are asked to review each department's approved list of prerequisites before submitting their application. You can visit the ROP course prerequisites section for more information. So next we'll go through the kind of like a tour of the ROP app itself. So the ROP app is the platform for submission of all project proposals and student applications. All users can access the application system by visiting uoft.me/ROP app and logging in with their UTOR ID. Once you log into the ROP app, you will see this dashboard, and you'll want to click on Projects. From the Projects tab, you click on Create New Project Proposal on the top right corner. And here are the fields that you will need to complete as indicated earlier. A red asterisk indicates those fields that are mandatory to complete. Importantly, you will need to indicate the number of student places available for this particular ROP course offering. This can be as many students as you feel is appropriate to conduct the project. It is important to give each student a robust experience, and because of this, it is not recommended to take any more than 5 students for any single project. If your project is approved and you would like to adjust the number of student spots available for your project, please email our team directly at rop.utm@utoronto.ca. We can adjust the number of spots, student spots via the ROP app before the student application window opens. Should you wish to add additional spots after the student selection window closes, please know that any approved additional spots will not impact the original amount of funding requested. Once complete, scroll to the bottom of this page and click Submit Proposal. Once you select Submit Proposal, the information is sent to your chair for approval. Once opened by your chair, you cannot make amendments to your proposal, but prior to this, you may revisit your proposal by clicking on the Edit button under the Action column. If you have more than one course offering, you will need to complete this information for each submission. However, you can also duplicate an existing project via the ROP app by navigating to your project of choice and clicking on Duplicate. Part of this process involves reviewing and providing decisions on all student applications. This helps us in the EEU determine who has been selected and also informs the students of the decision on their application. Click on the Student button to review all submitted applications. When the ROP app is open for student applications, we ask that faculty do not begin the selection process until the student application deadline has passed. This is to allow students to submit applications up to and on the deadline date and to be considered for participation in the ROP project. The deadline for students to submit their application for the 2026-27 ROP cycle is Monday, March 2nd, 2026. Please note that faculty who have summer, fall, winter, and year-long ROP projects have separate deadlines by which to select their students. Please review the ROP timetable for more information. Now I'd like to pivot to funding proposal submissions. Funding is available for all ROP projects, allocations of up to $750 for half credit courses and $1,500 for full credit courses are made based on available funds for the academic year. ROP projects now have a funding cap of $10,000 per project. A faculty member cannot receive more than $25,000 for one ROP full year cycle. So this includes the fall, winter, and year long. Though please know that funding parameters are subject to change. Funding proposals will be assessed based on reasonable alignment with directly supporting student involvement in the project. A list of eligible expenses is included on this slide, some of which include automobile mileage to ROP-related research activities, equipment such as lab supplies and consumables, local field trips and field work, off-campus activities, photocopying, printing, etc. Bringing your attention to equipment, we would like to encourage faculty participation in the ROP Sustainability Initiative. The Sustainability Initiative, introduced in collaboration between the Office of the Dean and I&ITS, is an option for faculty to utilize equipment such as laptops, iPads, and tablets available on loan for the duration of a project within an ROP academic cycle. It has been created to ensure the sustainability of resources while efficiently meeting the needs of RP projects. The Experiential Education Unit will contact faculty who wish to participate in the program in advance of their project start. Participation in the ROP Sustainability Initiative is completely optional but strongly encouraged. To submit your funding proposal, you click on the funding button under the action column of your ROP project. You must include a funding amount indicating whether the amount requested is per student or per project. The total funding amount will be populated automatically. Please include a breakdown of the requested funding amount separated into various categories. You will also have the opportunity to opt into participating in the ROP Sustainability Initiative during this stage. A funding proposal must be included indicating a brief description of the purpose for the allocated funds and their significance to your project, how these funds will benefit the student research experience in your course. To submit your request, please scroll to the bottom of this page and select Submit Funding Proposal. The Office of the Dean will review your request and communicate funding decision to you via the ROP app. Funding will only be allocated to an approved project if there is a registered student in the ROP course. Funding proposals will be assessed based on reasonable alignment with directly supporting student involvement with the project. With that, I will pass things back to Sam.
Awesome. Thank you, James. Okay, so I'll then go into a little bit more in depth into the course requirements section. So this is an example of a contract. What a contract is it is created after a student is selected and has accepted an offer to participate in an ROP project. So the contract should include the following elements of information. It should first include the number of required hours a student will need to complete. So is your ROP course a half or full credit course, or things that you want to consider? If it is a half credit, it is advised that students complete a minimum of 8 to 10 hours per week. For full credit courses that extend over a single 4-month term, so fall, winter, and summer, for example, it is advised that students complete a minimum of 15 to 20 hours per week. For full credit courses that span over the full academic year, so 8 months, the recommended hours per week is 8 to 10. Please visit our ROP website for a full overview of the recommended weekly hour commitment. So the total hours per week should not exceed 35, and the contract should provide a breakdown on how the student in your ROP course will be evaluated. So you can please see the example listed on the slide picture here. So you can see that the breakdown says 8 to 10 hours, 15 to 20 hours, and then it also has breakdowns of means of evaluation and the terms of project. The contract should also provide things such as mentioned, the means of evaluation and the terms of project. And these involve things like the thesis, how much different parts of a project are weighted. So the thesis report, for example, 50%, journal 10%, reflection paper 20%, data analysis 20%. And then the terms of projects. So what terms are you asking your students to agree to in order to agree to be a part of the ROP? So these could be things like maintaining confidentiality, regular updates on the work progress, and finally, attending weekly meetings. Please do note instructors shall return by the deadline one or more marked assignments and/or term tests worth a combined total of at least 15% of the total course mark for H courses and 25% for Y courses. The deadline for returning such marked work shall be the last regular class meeting prior to the academic drop date, with one exception. For courses that run the entire fall and winter session, so Y5Y or H5Y courses, the deadline should be the last regular class meeting of the first week of classes in January. Please do see the section term work in the UTM academic calendar if you want to get more information on this. And with that, I'll pass it back to James.
Thank you. So this is the recommended hours per week breakdown available on the ROP website, which will now be linked in the chat. Let me just try and get. Actually, maybe do that for
Yeah,
me.
for sure.
Hoping we can do it from here. If it But anyways, so the hours per week are negotiable between the student and the supervisor. As some students may have a lighter course load throughout the semester year, etc. The time commitment should be agreed upon and preferably in writing prior to the student beginning work on the project. Should this time commitment need to change, discussion and agreement should happen between the student and supervisor and be put into writing. This slide shows the breakdown of the minimum time commitments. Please note that the total hours per week are not to exceed 35. The minimum time commitment can be altered based on the requirements of the project and the work course or course load of the student, but should not drop significantly below the recommended minimum. Further discussion and approval should be discussed with the department institute chair or director should the time commitment fall below the recommended minimum. And let me just see quickly if I can kind of.
Apologies, we're just trying to get the frequently asked questions linked to you all in the chat. I think James is just figuring it out right now.
Let me
There you go.
see.
Oh, perfect.
Copy and
Yeah.
then so just give me a sec. I got to get actually back into our regular
Oh yeah, for sure.
or oh no, it is here. Chat. Just paste that. There we go. Please let us know if you do have issues accessing it, but it should work from here. So yeah, so now I'm going to pass things back to Sam. Oh, here we go.
Thank you, James. Okay, so moving on to the submission of final grades. So the submission of final grades are to be entered as numeric grades and are to be submitted using the Office of the Registrar's eMarks online tool. So lastly, we'll finish off with an overview of ethics and safety throughout the ROP project proposal submission process. Okay, so faculty members must uphold the safety of students participating in an ROP project at all times. This can be accomplished by consulting the provided resources, which can be found on the ROP website under project resource, and it will also be linked in the chat right now. And James is just entering that in for you all, so you can have access to these resources. There you
There
go.
we go.
Let us know too if you have any issues accessing. So with that, that is the conclusion of our presentation. So thank you so much for listening today. And if you have any questions, of course, now this is the time that you can ask us.